atom problem part 3. So in the last video we already understood a little bit about the computation relations in the angular momentum business. We'll try to look at a little more about the angular momentum part here. So we already have an expression in the position representation for Lx, Ly and Lz. Okay, but now we want to deal with the entire problem in spherical coordinates. So we have to convert these operators in the spherical coordinate system. So Lz written in the position representation is like this in the Cartesian system. We know that spherical coordinate transformation is given by these set of equations. So all you have to do is you have to make a variable change for the partial derivatives, much like we did in part 1 of the video. Okay, so dou by dou y, since y depends here on r, theta and phi, so you have three terms: r here, theta here, phi here. You also have these inverse transformation relations. Okay, r written in terms of xyz, theta and phi written in terms of xyz. So all you have to do is you have to find these values, plug in here and get the expression for dou by dou y. Similarly, you have to get the expression for dou by dou x. Okay, if you plug it in there and then you solve, what you get is that the expression of Lz comes out to be minus IH ka dou by dou phi. Okay, a super important point to note here is that Lz is only a function of phi. It doesn't depend, it's not a function of r or theta. Okay, it's an important point, it will become clear to us later. Okay, similarly, let's look at the L square operator, which is written as Lx square plus Ly square plus Lz square. So now what you do is you have like Lx, you have an expression for L, like you have for Lz, you have an expression for Lx and Ly also. You have to make variable change for partial derivatives, plug in the values, solve it, and what you get is this. Okay, this nice looking equation helps us to simplify the not so nice looking eigenvalue equation in the spherical coordinate system we had gotten earlier. Okay, another super important point to note here is that L square is strictly a function of theta and phi. Okay, and Lz is a function of phi, L square is a function of theta and phi. Okay, now we already had this eigenvalue equation earlier written in the spherical coordinate part. Now if you compare the later two terms with this, you see that it's nothing but L square by r square. Okay, you can make a necessary substitution here. So you plug in the value, so you get the same equation in terms of L operator now. Okay, that pretty much explains why we resort to angular momentum business, because instead of writing the full expressions, you can substitute the operators there, and you know the properties of the operators, and hence you can simplify the calculations. So now we have to look at an important point here. We have to see if H, that is a Hamiltonian, that commutes with L square, and does it commute with Lz. Okay, what good will that do? So if any two operators commute, like I said in the last video, you can find simultaneous eigenkets. So if you know the eigenkets for this, you know the eigenkets for this, you already know that these two commute. Okay, so they have the same eigenkets anyways. Okay, but for completion I would say if these two commute, then its eigenkets work for this also. Okay, they have simultaneous eigenkets. So all you have to do is you have to check now if the Hamiltonian commutes with L square or Lz or not. For that, let's identify this part, which is easy to identify, that this is the potential energy part, and since this is the entire Hamiltonian, and we know that Hamiltonian is T plus V, kinetic plus potential, this has to be the kinetic energy part. Now let's look at the potential energy part. Does the potential energy part commute with L square or not? We know L square is strictly a function of theta and phi. Okay, so this tells us that L square will commute with anything that's a function of r. Okay, why? Okay, because if you have any operator A, it commutes with itself always, and it commutes with any other operator which is independent of A. Okay, it commute. So for example, if this is a function of r and this is strictly a function of theta, they will commute. But say if B was a function of theta and r both, this need not necessarily be the case. Okay, so the general statement is any operator commutes with itself or with any other operator that's absolutely independent of the first operator. Okay, so since L square is independent of r, so it will commute with any operator or any function that is strictly dependent on just r. Okay, so since we know that the potential V of r is just a function of r, okay, we assumed it's a central force, So L square should commute with V of R. So what we have established? We have established that L square commutes with V of R. Okay, so potential energy part is settled. Okay, we have to look at the kinetic energy part now. So the kinetic energy part, like you can see here, it's L square by h square by R square minus of minus of this thing. And also we know that L square is a function of theta and phi. So we have to see if these two commute or not. Okay, so now like you can see, like also told you, that operator commutes with another independent operator or itself. So the first time, if you can see, it's just, so this is L square. Okay, this part commutes, and in the denominator it's just R square. Okay, yeah, this won't create a problem. This also commutes, and in this part it's only a function of R. So yeah, good to go. This also commutes. Okay, so you don't have any such expression which has some theta or phi dependence. Okay, it's strictly independent, or it's the operator itself. So we have established that L square commutes with T also. So if L square commutes, so for L square to commute with H is like for L square to commute with T plus V, which is L square to commute with T plus L square to commute with V. And this is 0, this is 0, so this is 0. So now we established that L square commutes with H. Okay, so what you'll understand here is that this will have simultaneous eigenkets. So what we'll be trying to do is, in the next part of the video, we'll try to get expression for this or this, because they have simultaneous eigenkets anyways, because LZ and L square commute, and then that will basically give us the solution that we are trying to look through solving the Hamiltonian. Okay, and similarly, since L square commutes, we can also write in terms of LZ. Okay.